Alright, somebody don't send their big brother. Come on, bro. Let's see. You and I got words. Let's go ahead and talk it out. See, you don't anger my little buddy now. You interrupted his juice break. See, you brought that smoke on yourself, bro. My dude was on you like a Florida palmetto bug. Bro, where are you going? That was the most indirect way to ask me out on a date I have ever seen.
Greetings everyone. As always, I am Sir Wusif, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, we'll be talking about a build that is equal parts skill and damage. So this is a build that has a good foundation in weapon damage, and then takes that foundation and cranks it to 11 when deploying its paired skills. I like to call it the technical gunner build. So let's break that down a bit. Let's start with the specialization. I'm running technician as the base, with the reason being that it adds one skill tier to whatever build you're currently using. With what this build is trying to accomplish, this is the most important part, but more on that in a bit. Let's move on to the armor. So this is an LMG build, right? So I'm running 3 pieces of the Langmo brand set, specifically the backbone backpack, along with a chest piece and some knee pads. The backbone backpack is a named item, obviously, meaning it has a quote-unquote perfect talent, with that being perfect unstoppable force. So taking down an enemy grants 7% bonus weapon damage for 15 seconds. This stacks up to 5 times for a potential of 35% bonus weapon damage. For reference, the base unstoppable force talent grants 5%, so its ceiling is a little lower at 25% total. Backbone offers a higher ceiling, in addition to counting towards the Langmo brand set, so this made for the most logical choice here. It's rolled for max weapon damage, max armor regen, and critical hit damage. So ideally, I would have preferred critical hit chance instead of armor regen, but to put it bluntly, finding a Langmo arm piece with that specific trait combo is like winning the lottery. It's a grind. It is a long grind, so it is understandable if you take what you can get, like what I did here. Lastly, I added a skill haste mod at plus 12%. For the chest piece, I rolled max armor, max critical hit damage, and critical hit chance. The talent here is Obliterate, which gives an additional 1% bonus weapon damage for every critical hit you land on a target. This stacks up to 20 times and lasts up to 10 seconds. This then pairs with the perfect unstoppable force talent on the backbone for a ceiling of 55% bonus weapon damage. Alright, so for the knee pads, I rolled max weapon damage and critical hit damage. Critical hit chance is leaving a little to be desired, 4.8% as opposed to the max of 6%, but this will still put in work. So this rounds out the Langmo brand set, which as a whole gives plus 20% explosive resistance, plus 20% skill health, and most important for this build, plus 30% LMG damage due to having 3 pieces equipped. Let's move on to the gloves. So for the gloves, I have a piece of the Brazos de Arquebus brand set, rolled for armor, critical hit damage, and critical hit chance. Sadly, I don't have a fully optimized piece here, but it still hits pretty hard without it. This then pairs with the holster, specifically the Picaros holster, so another named item. Its unique talent is that it rolls with plus 10% weapon damage in addition to either armor or a skill tier. For this build, I went with the extra skill tier and max armor regen. The Brazos brand set in of itself will grant plus 1 skill tier when wearing 2 pieces, so I have 2 plus the extra one from the technician specialization, totaling 3. For this build to work the best, it needs at least 3 skill tiers, hence the choices I made so far. Also, because I had 2 pieces equipped, I get plus 10% skill haste in addition to the bonus skill tier. Alright, so lastly, we have the mask, the special sauce, the Tinker exotic reward from the Y7S1 climax mission. So its rolls are fixed for weapon damage, critical hit chance, and critical hit damage. So no matter how many versions of this mask you find, you craft, what have you, these are the rolls that it's going to have. So as you may or may not know, it has the abridged talent, which allows for talent stacking, as long as neither weapon is an exotic or named, or both have the same talent. So I have a skill haste mod here for quicker skill cooldowns. Now for the guns. So I'm using a military MK46 as my primary, mostly because I like how it looks, but it's also one of the best in its class, so it's not a bad choice here. So quick side note, it does have an expertise level of 20, so that means it's doing 20% more damage compared to its base. So something to keep in mind here when comparing numbers or when you're setting up this build for yourself. It's rolled for max weapon damage, damage to targets out of cover, and critical hit chance. So for mods, let's go on down here. The optic, underbarrel, and muzzle are all set for critical hit chance, and the magazine is set for stability. So I play entirely on console, meaning I'm at the mercy of my controller. So I prefer stability for this mod. If you prefer something else, or if you can handle something else, like critical hit damage, then by all means go for it. I chose stability because it's what I prefer, it works best for me, so I urge you to do the same. So let's go back up to the talent. So the talent I'm using is In Sync, which grants plus 15% skill damage when hitting a target with your weapon, along with plus 15% bonus weapon damage when deploying a non-shield skill, or when a skill hits a target, and both bonuses last for 5 seconds. So the bonus damage doubles when both buffs are active at the same time and are refreshed on weapon or skill hits. So meaning you'll get 30% damage if you and your skill both damage a target. Doesn't even have to be the same target. So let's go to the secondary. So the secondary weapon is a tactical M249 Para, which, fun fact, is essentially the same gun as the MK46.
Clan member requesting
I
backup.
clearly have a type. Mods and stats don't really matter here. They don't matter for this gun, just its talent, which is future perfect. When taking down an enemy, you get 1 bonus skill tier. This stacks up to 3 times. At skill tier 6, all skills get an overcharge for 15 seconds with a 90% cooldown. This is the meat and potatoes of the build, since with the 3 skill tiers this build already has, just 3 stacks will give skill tier 6 pretty regularly, as well as overcharges. Let's go to the pistol. So the pistol here is dealer's choice. Well, whatever you prefer to use. I prefer the exotic pistol, Busy Little Bee, mainly for its namesake talent. Hitting an enemy grants plus 20% weapon damage for 10 seconds and will stack up to 10 times upon hitting up to 10 different enemies. So this is a reliable means of getting bonus damage in a hurry, and it has saved my bacon more than once. So let's move on to skills. So one of the skills I'm running is the Striker Drone, mainly for its ability to take some of the heat off of me when crowded, in addition to the fact that it will always be feeding me buffs via the NSYNC talent. It's always going to be attacking someone, it's always going to be hitting someone. Mods here are dealer's choice as well, so whatever you have or works best for you. So for reference, at skill tier 3, the Striker Drone gets an extra 60% damage and 210% health. At skill tier 6, that doubles up to 120% damage and 420% health. And when overcharged, its damage ramps up to 175%. The other skill, and in my opinion the star of the show, is the Precision Smart Cover, as it gives massive bonuses in weapon handling and weapon damage. At skill tier 3, you receive 45% bonus weapon handling and plus 12% damage to targets out of cover. And at skill tier 6, that jumps to plus 75% and plus 25% respectively. When overcharged, that ramps up to plus 100% and plus 35%. Mods, as before, are dealer's choice. So factor all of that in, and what do we have? Well, we have over 50% critical hit chance and 113% critical hit damage at base, followed by a potential weapon damage ceiling of, and let's crunch the numbers just briefly, 30% LMG damage with the Langmore brand set, 35% perfect unstoppable force at its ceiling, 20% with the obliterate talent at its ceiling, 30% of the insync with the or from the insync talent between you getting hits and your skill getting hits, and 35% to or bonus damage to targets out of cover using an overcharged smart cover. That adds up to 150% total bonus damage. Even without the skill bonuses, the weapon damage sits pretty high at plus 85%, so you're not out in the cold should you lose your skills. If you get caught with both of them on cooldown, or if you happen to get hit with an EMP, you can still do damage. So this is one of my favorite parts about this build. So that's the build as a whole. Got some bonus footage for you if you like. Take note, it's coming up right at the end here. But yeah, if this is your vibe, then go on ahead and subscribe. Drop a like and a comment if you feel so inclined. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time.